Will the Galaxy S6 Plus steal Samsung's own thunder? Will Motorola really churn out such a homely sequel to one of our favorite smartphones? Will I ever learn not to drink scotch the night before a podcast? These questions and more are answered in this week's queasy, questionable, but top-quality episode. That's episode 151 of the Pocketnow Weekly, the once-a-week podcast where we discuss news and opinion from the world of mobile technology. That's smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, all that stuff you wished you had when you were a kid. From Boston, Massachusetts, I'm stretched too thin and hydrated too little, and I'm also Michael Fisher. Back from a short sojourn to the middle of our fair continent, Stephen Schenck is back in the co-pilot seat over there in the garden spot of SETI Alpha 6. I mean the Garden State. Stephen, welcome back.
Hey, Michael.
We have no guest today, but podcast producer Jules Wang is keeping our spirits up just the same, and the time in Boston is precisely 1:09 p.m. Good afternoon.
I was just thinking about connected devices, and if we need to work that into the smartphones, tablets, smartwatches things, talk about like Internet of Things stuff.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know if we can
tablets,
really
smart garage door unlockers. And
but then
all
the
that
whole
stuff.
wish you had when you were a kid bit sort of falls apart.
Right, because who gives a shit about
Exactly.
half of that stuff? Even though IoT is the coolest thing ever, I'm tired of talking about IoT already. I've said it once this show, and we're not going to say it ever again. But it is the next week thing, and we respect it. Do you want to make more money? Sure, we all do. That's not what this promo spot is about. Have you been injured by a doctor or hospital? This won't be helpful to you either. Are you trying to better yourself as a person, as a human, as an entity? There we go. This episode of The Weekly is brought to you by lynda.com. Challenge yourself to learn something new with over 3,000 courses on everything from video editing, like we do, to social media, like we do, to digital artwork, I don't do that, and most things in between. All their courses are taught by experts, and new courses are added to the site every week. Whether you want to make better music, my cousin's a guitarist, and he's really good at it. Paint better pictures. My grandmother was an artist. Equalize more equations. Build a better website. Make 2015 the year you stop being a non-contributing zero and get your free 10-day trial. lynda.com, lynda.com/pocketnow. Thanks. Steven.
I didn't like where that was going at first there. It seemed like you were encouraging people to take our jobs, which...
Listen, take this microphone away from me before I say something dumb, and tell everyone what they can do with their comments.
Absolutely. Since it is a skeleton crew here on the Pocketnow Weekly this week, we are going to get bored of talking to ourselves back and forth for the next, 3-4 hours probably. So that is where you, loyal listeners, come in. If you are listening to us live on Google Hangouts, what we want you to do is hop on over to the Q&A there. You got a little question on your mind there, type it on in. Other viewers of the show will vote up their favorite ones. We will do our best to answer some of the popular ones on the air. If we do not get to yours, we will. There's another way you can get in touch with us. That's by shooting us an email. We have a bunch of listener emails in the rundown today.
That's right.
Yeah, so if we... Well, of course, we can't get to one if you send it to us straight away, but next week we might take a look at it, or a week after that, or some future non-specified date. One way or another, though, either live with a Q&A or shooting us an email, we want to hear from you. So please, something on your mind, let us know.
That is right, and we already have some Q&As piling in, and I really like...
Of course we do.
Yeah, first of all, Thomas View says the Gunners are back. Indeed they are. I'm wearing Gunner optics.
I noticed that. Little yellow jaundicey tint to your eyes there.
Yeah, well, I need all the help I can get today. I'm very busy. I'm very important.
Scotch.
You know, Scotch. I love Scotch. What's your first mobile phone, first dumb and first smartphone? Love it. Jolly Jacobs asks this one. I know, and we sort of answer this like once a month, but it's still one of my favorites. I'm going to go first. My first mobile phone was a Samsung SCH 3500, one of those flip phones on Sprint, and that was 2001, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my first smartphone was a BlackBerry 7520, and one of the only IDEN BlackBerries for Nextel with a big push-to-talk button up top and an extendable antenna that had you wobble around a lot. It's one of those ones with the loading coil on the top of it, so like you'd extend it and you could wiggle it and it would go ba 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 ba.
Lovely.
Like those things in Mad Max, those masks.
Why don't we have those anymore?
Yeah. Stephen, what about you?
I'm not as cool as you. I can't just rattle off the model number there. I know the model of my current dumb phone is a Nokia 3550i. That's not quite right, but it was a Samsung flip phone on Verizon.
Aha.
And no, it was a Verizon or T-Mobile. Crap, I do not remember. It was T-Mobile.
All right.
Geez, my first smartphone, that was a daily driver that I carried around. I had ones that I used just on, airplane mode. Hadn't activated them because I was a cheapskate. But Nexus 4, I was a little late to the party there.
Oh, there's a massive news opportunity we're missing. Not news opportunity, branding opportunity that OEMs are missing. Somebody needs to build a phone that is called the Daily Driver. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think only we would get that. I don't think that's a common parlance.
You're exactly right. But thank you for 25% going with me on it. Jules says SCHR720 was his first one from Samsung.
Model numbers. I'm going to look at mine now.
So that must have been a Verizon one then. SCH is their CDMA code. All right, this is awesome stuff. But I feel like we have to move on. Is there anything we have to say before we get into the news stuff?
Like announcements and whatnot?
Yeah. I mean, did somebody won a G3, right, Stephen?
Yeah. We had a G3 contest running all last week. We gave that away to the winner who answered we embedded our trivia question in a bunch of posts that week. You figured them all out. You realized we were talking about the knock code on the G3. And we gave that away to someone, I forget who, someone in Chicago.
Did we announce it?
Yes, you can check the original contest post as updated with the winner's name, and your G3 will be going out to you shortly, Michael? Longly? Eventually.
Somewhat, yeah. Well,
if you did not get a chance to win this G3 or any of the prior ones we gave away in the last few weeks, you'll have another opportunity coming up next week, so pay attention for the last probably in our series of G3 giveaways.
Second to last. There is one other that's going to be given away on this podcast.
How many of these do we have?
We got a lot.
Is there a truck somewhere?
Great. Yeah, they just backed it up to the office and just dumped.
Okay, well, plenty more opportunities then, so pay attention.
Well, I was stalling to see if I could find a news drop because we don't have audio from the production side on this one, but that's okay. We don't need it. We're just going to talk about news. Rousing electronic beat.
I'll bring my typewriter in and I can start typing away on it and do the cha-ching.
Yeah, clackety, 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 clack, etc. Exactly right. So let's talk about the first news story, which is something of a catch-up piece, as I recall. It is This Week in Mobile History. Now, this is a series that Adam Dowd doesn't really like writing. And
it's a tough thing to do. I don't blame him.
It is, and judging from the engagement of the first few pieces, it looked like people didn't like reading it. But this has been people have been have taken a shine to it recently, based on the social engagements, or maybe it's just this piece because, and I didn't realize this until I read this piece. So the piece is doing its job. It is the anniversary of the release of WebOS on the first Palm Pre. It was released in June, on June 6th of 2009. So tomorrow will be the anniversary.
You pour one out on the curb?
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to. 2009-06-06 was, I believe, if my memory serves, it was one of the ways to get into to dev mode on WebOS. It was, I forgot what you could either do the, what was it, Street Fighter? That up, down, down, left, right, PA start.
That's not Street Fighter. That's Capcom.
That's
Konami code.
Konami code. That's what it was. See, I don't know. I'm not awake today. And you could either do that to get into to like unlock the phone for developer stuff and to like load freeware and do all that stuff, or you could input 2009-06-06. And that was, of course, the reception launch date.
I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, this is a inscrutable headline here. No one's going to know what's going on, but there's a method to the madness.
There is, yeah, the loyalists will know. And so on this date, which was 6 years ago, unbelievably, Palm actually did have lines out the door. I've said it on the show before, but Palm actually did succeed in drumming up a lot of excitement for this device. Android's presence on the market was, the Android existed, but it was still nowhere near the juggernaut that it is today.
Had its training.
So everyone was, and people were just like, people had realized that BlackBerry Storm sucked, but they didn't, it was still in the public consciousness. It was like, I don't know, they're going to do a Storm 2, maybe that'll be better. The point is, the iPhone killer was still, it was undetermined. So the people were very excited for this, and I waited in line for the Palm Pre. Like there was a legit line of humans that stretched back quite a ways along the sidewalk on Boylston Street at the Sprint store.
My stars.
Yeah, it was like the only one of the only distinctively positive experiences I've had at a carrier store.
Was it like the physical embodiment of disappointment when you actually got to the front of the line there? No, I'm kidding. You love that.
I loved that phone.
I
better more than any other phone I've ever used. I just adored it. So anyway, now that I'm seeing the feed, it looks like we're having some traffic, a little bit of pixelization. So apologies for that, folks. There's nothing we can do about it. It's Google Hangouts. But anyway, other stuff in mobile history includes batteries, some Sony stuff. Apparently, nothing's changed in the past 10 years because Sony's been snubbing North America for
half-assing their phones.
Yep, in North America, and so on. So check out that piece. We've linked to it if you want to get a little nostalgic. And just a reminder to everyone in the developments category, my switch to T-Mobile 3-part series is complete. I have finished, rounded it out with the 3rd part, Barcelona and Beyond.
This was you.
And what do you mean this was me?
Well, no, I was going through on Pocketnow here, folks, on the back end with this media library. Whenever we upload pictures to our post, we can see them there. We can reuse old ones. And I see this picture of Carly on her sweet ass magenta motorcycle. I'm like, I love Carly. I love her motorcycle. And I go look at the thing, and I see the file name, and it's called T-Mobile Motorcycle Girl. And I'm thinking, what heathen has forgotten Carly's name already? And sure enough, it's Mr. Gunner Optics here.
Listen, that's an SEO optimized title. No one else remembers her name either. Half the people didn't even know her name to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad she's gone because I didn't like that marketing campaign, even though I thought she was very attractive, as I was supposed to. I like crazy mouth John Leisure way better. But in any rate, you're gonna have to read the piece to see my verdict. Jules is spoiling it right now on the screen, but I think you should read it. If you're thinking about switching to T-Mobile, it is crucial. Oh, that's a nice mixed piece too. I look so serious. So serious.
I don't know what to think about T-Mobile. I mean, last weekend
you don't think about T-Mobile? Aren't you?
Generally, my experience has been T-Mobile sucks where I live in the sticks, but when I go into a major metropolitan area, it's quite usable. But my God, my reception was awful in Chicago. I don't know what's going on.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, that's interesting.
Might have been the fault of my VPN, which I had problems connecting to. So I may.
Do you suppose it was site loading? I mean, do you suppose it was like site loading from capacity issues in Chicago?
I don't know.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine it was just straight
I had
up
bars, and then just everything sucked.
Oh, so yeah, that sounds a lot like a capacity problem to me.
Boo hiss.
I don't know. But we're going to move on to devices in the news because there's a lot of new stuff to talk about. We've gotten our first look at this Moto X 2015, possibly. Stephen, do you want to talk about the possible veracity of this while I sort of pray away the ugly?
Well, I don't know what to think about this, honestly. It looks like it went through the blender, or someone decided to save this thing with their JPEG compression sent to 0. It is a mess. It's one of these pics where you don't know if it's just a crappy image quality because sometimes images are crappy, or if someone is purposely shooting up the artifacts in order to hide possible wonky Photoshop jobs. And parts of the image are clear. We can see the back with the camera, and it's a certainly big departure from what we've had on the Moto X of years past. Whether or not that means it's false or not, I don't know, but there's some bits that don't ring quite true to my eye. The way the flash is sort of vertical within a vertical strip is a little weird. Thank God the dimple's back, so Michael can breathe easily there. But then again, there are some bits here that do seem legitimate, like the blanking out portions of the image that would contain identifiable details in order to protect the source's identity. Specs we've heard sound like it's a decent improvement over the past model, a little more in line with the Nexus 6 than maybe any other Moto X series device. But I don't know how I feel about this rumor about a larger screen going up to 5.64 inches. What are we at now on the 2014 Moto X?
5.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am
Up
always
from
pushing
4.7.
back against the ever-growing screens, so...
Me too. We already
why
have an
don't you
oversized
have
Moto
these?
X. It's called the Nexus 6. We don't
Exactly,
need...
so why do you have this as well? But
Yeah. More concerning to me is this, like, well, two things. First of all, the dimple, is there, but it's been
it's too
integrated
far
into this,
down,
like,
or?
it's been integrated into this Lumia, like, long
That's what it
strip
reminds me
of
of.
aluminum. Yeah, it looks like a Lumia 820 gone
Well,
wrong.
honestly, I kind of
Basically.
like that. I mean, just aesthetically, I don't mind that. It just doesn't look. I'm not sure what about this doesn't seem right to me. Is the camera too high up? But that flash isn't gelling.
Yeah,
Mm,
I don't know. I'm not liking the look, but like you said, there's a lot of compression artifacts. There's a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
we can't really tell what this looks like from this, and also, this is coming from it's attributed to Total Tech with a
Oh,
TK watermark there. Of course, that means
mhm.
that's coming from the entity formerly known as TK Tech
Yeah,
News.
I was surprised to see that.
Me too. I thought he
Him
was
showing
out of
his
the
face
game, but
again.
yeah. But so. He's got an
It's
okay track record, but we've certainly seen some stuff from him before that has not been actual. He's been fooled just like any
maybe
other
he's like
leaker.
Evan, who is going to show his face again from time to time.
It could be. I just don't know. I certainly hope.
No.
I never want to see them in the same room together.
No, that would be.
But anyway,
But see, there's a note here we have there may be a smaller version of this. We may be not stuck with just the larger, verging into phablet territory, 5.6, 5.7 inch.
Yeah,
Might be a more
Phone Arena
that's
has added something.
threat of
It's a 5.7-inch QHD version as well as a
Really?
5.2-inch QHD variant. First of all, I really, really don't need a QHD variant. I don't
No.
think anyone does. Up at the 5.7-inch makes a bit more sense, and that one is claimed to be a Verizon exclusive in the States. But I guess we'll see. Now that would make some sense. I mean, they have a cozy relationship, we know, from
but that's
Motorola's Droid history.
I'd be surprised if there were a larger version of the phone that was a carrier exclusive and that didn't arrive as something else, like the Droid Moto or something. I don't know.
Right. Well, and we're hearing separate rumors about that very thing as well. But we'll cover those when it starts to get into Motorola season. But and that's coming up. I mean, we're in June already. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
I feel these leaks are gonna.
Announcement of the first one, or they had that.
I don't know.
July.
No. It was September. They announced it at the same time as IFA, so they had a bunch of people go
Didn't
to
they start
Chicago.
promoting it earlier in the year? I swear to God, there was a
I
4th of July tie-in.
do not
They
think
ran
so.
like a big Wall Street Journal ad with the people jumping off the pier.
with the first one. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yes,
with the
yes.
first one.
The first
Yeah.
one they were pimping at it for a while, but I think the second one they kept the lid on it
Yeah,
until
that
it
was a little later.
out. Yeah.
But who knows what
Jules says if there's a flagship that comes back to 4 inches, he'll buy it with his own non-existent money. Yeah,
Seriously?
still a vocal crowd that wants smaller stuff.
I ran into a guy last weekend who had a Xperia Z1 Compact, and he was loving the idea of these smaller phones with flagship level features, and lamenting the fact that they're so hard to come by these days.
Indeed.
No good at all.
Yeah. But speaking of the other side of the spectrum, the Galaxy S6 Plus was recently leaked not leaked, but a leaker sent it to Marques Brownlee, and he featured it in his video on the HTC One M9 Plus, which, by the way, we're going to be getting one of those as well shortly from our friends at D-Brand. I should have one tomorrow.
The brand.
Yeah, so in his video, Marques showed off this photo that someone sent along, supposedly of a Galaxy S6 Plus, like Edge Plus. It's got the dual curved screen thing going on.
If you didn't know anything, you just assumed this was the Edge.
If you didn't, right, yeah, like at first glance, but then you realize that the on-screen graphical elements are the same size as they are on the S6, but the screen has a much wider
real estate
presence.
Yeah,
and also it's been pointed out in the comments that that's not the only difference. Apparently, this icon pack does not exist on the stock Samsung theme, so that lends some credence to this. And of course, Marques doesn't often leak stuff, but I feel like his credibility is
Yeah,
You
where
know,
he
he
to
would not
share this,
risk this.
we have to assume he's getting this from someone he trusts, and there may
Right.
be something to this, that he's not going to put his reputation on the line for something that's, 50% chance of being right even. He must feel pretty strongly about this.
Right, right. Which begs the question, why would Samsung do something like this? I mean, Samsung already has a large screen phablet line, and it's called the Galaxy Note, and it's very successful. So why risk cannibalizing that at all? Stephen, do you have any thoughts?
I wonder if they're going to position the Note 5 and future devices more towards, I don't know, maybe enterprise clients or something, or to make or to put more of a focus on the S Pen stylus, and to say that you can have a bigger phone that's not this, on-screen note-taking, that may not have. We'll always use the Note to introduce new features in the fall. Maybe this would just be like an iterative version of the spring, so it's less pushing the envelope than the Note would. But we really don't know where they intend to, fit this into their lineup, how they might want to sell this. Maybe this would take the place of the Mega models in years past that never really got the attention I don't think Samsung wanted them to.
Oh, I thought you were just making up a word with Mega models, but you mean the Galaxy Mega? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, in the comments, an earnest discussion began, as Jules points out, about the Plus moniker being appended to this line. And
Does Apple own that now?
His video, yeah, like Plus is the new
Max.
I forgot what he said. Yeah, Plus is the new Max or something like that. But others were quick to jump in and say that HTC was releasing phones with the Plus suffix years and years and years and years before this. But nonetheless, there have been huge, massive comparisons made to the Galaxy S6 between the Galaxy S6 and the iPhone 6. Some of which are a stretch, and many of which are not, though. I mean, there's a lot in the hardware and software of the Galaxy S6 that is just taken directly from iOS, from the changeover of the icon-based expansion menus to text, to the construction of the bottom plate with the USB port and the speakers. I mean, it's hilarious in a lot of ways. And I'm saying that as a guy who loves the S6. So we know that Samsung will do this. Samsung loves, all these manufacturers love to copy one another. In not at all subtle ways. It is what they do. So that makes me believe that sure, Samsung would do this, and we're expecting this, in a couple of weeks if it's real? This isn't going to be like a fall thing.
No, yeah, we heard this could be announced in the next week or two, which I don't know what Samsung will be planning there. We haven't heard about any press events. They might just drop this on us all of a sudden without any big to-do about it. So
yeah. Well, we will do our best to get our hands on it as quickly as we can. Great
if Samsung was waiting for the middle of WWDC, we're getting all iOS 9 excited, like, hey guys, new Samsung, bigger screen, curved edges, check us out, look at us.
The best. That would be the best troll move ever.
Yeah.
Cram FR in the chat asks, Michael, does the S6 still lag from themes? I've actually been heartened by that. I've found a bunch of themes that do not slow the device down. We just got a unit from AT&T, an S6 Edge, so I'll be trying that out on AT&T to see if that changes my battery life and whatever. But yeah, no, there are several themes that do not impart the same performance penalty as they did initially. So I think there's some behind-the-scenes refinement going on, or the newer themes are just better and svelter and whatever. But
what is it about these past themes that you think was slowing things down? Were we looking like at live wallpapers in there, or what was going on?
I don't know. No, there weren't. But Samsung did bring in that sort of faux parallax wallpaper that has existed. That existed before Apple introduced parallax to iOS, but I don't know. They weren't pushing it on any of their devices before Apple decided to put parallax
there? I think that was a component of some of these. We've been hearing a bunch of rumors about the 5.1.1 update for the Galaxy S6, and I swear to God someone mentioned that this parallax wallpaper thing was going to be in the 5.1.1, but it's already there.
No, that's been there since the S6 launched, yeah. It was the first thing I noticed when it booted up. I'm like, really? Really? That's one of the things I was talking about. I was like, oh, wow, Samsung iPhone 6. Awesome. Yeah. Anyway, I think we can move on. I think we're going to be talking about this device a lot in the weeks ahead, and we've
assuming it's real.
Assuming it's real. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems to be it seems I just got a lot of notifications. I'm sorry. The thing is, I can't mute it because it's powering the soundboard on this side of things. Oh, it's my mother. I will. Oh my God, cool! I'm gonna have visitors in town soon. That's gonna be fun. Hey, the Galaxy S5 might live again as an affordable Neo variant. Steven, why don't you tell us about this, huh?
I mean, yeah, Samsung has this history of bringing back past flagship phones in sort of lower-end versions we've seen. So there's a Note 3. They did something 0 Plus Max. I don't remember.
Didn't they do a Note 3 Neo or something?
Yeah, they come out with these a year and a half after the original. The specs are lower, but it's got that familiar name, so we're still paying attention to it. In this case, though, it actually sounds kind of decent. Supposedly, we're looking at a Galaxy S5 Neo, which would have a 5.1-inch 1080p screen, which is sweet spot as far as many of us are concerned. It would be an AMOLED. Have the same 16-megapixel camera we have on the Galaxy S6. Some of the other specs would be, I can't believe they sound mid-range at this point, 2 gigs of RAM instead of 3 gigabytes. Oh God, no. This phone's a piece of junk. Snapdragon could have a new processor. We saw some evidence in benchmarks recently of a new Exynos chip, and that guy might pop up here, the Exynos 7580. Otherwise, this guy, it sounds very, very like a solid, respectable, even top-of-the-line phone from just a year or two ago. And if those are getting harder to come by these days, you don't want the Quad HD giant screen, this could be right up your alley here. Right now, we just have to figure out, one, if it's real, and two, where Samsung intends on selling this, because a phone like this, it doesn't necessarily sound like it's going to be top of Samsung's priority list, making it available everywhere. So if this guy's coming to your neck of the woods or not, remains to be seen, but it sure sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how, in what world this would be appetizing.
No?
Because, no, I mean, especially with phones coming out.
I guess the pricing matters a lot, too.
The pricing matters a ton. We don't know what that is. And think about all the phones that are coming out at the $200 and $300 price point. I mean, the OnePlus One just took a price dive. The Moto X just took a price drop. That was temporary. And then the Asus Zenfone 2, the Alcatel One Touch Idol 3. We have all these phones that are really cheap and offer really good performance, or some of them do.
Yeah, but that Samsung brand name still means a lot to a lot of people.
Right, but what I agree, but I don't think it should with regard to this model.
No, it should not.
I think the Galaxy S5 it gets worse with every passing day.
I think it won't look like the Galaxy S5.
But I think it will, because I think that's the thing. Is components, as Jules points out in the chat, the thing that's fueling this rumor, or Jaime speculated in his own piece that Samsung probably has a lot of unsold Galaxy S5 inventory and that they're repurposing for this. But I don't know if that's the case, because how easy is that? I don't know. To take a bunch of unsold S5s, pull them apart, swap out the SoC. I mean, that seems like a lot of. It seems like a thing that they wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I will say this: if the blue one were more widely available, I would change my tune, because I'm a shallow bro. But whatever. Let's move on. HTC announces the One ME or the One Me. This is like the Windows Millennium Edition. Yeah, I don't know what to call it. Is the ME, the Me, whatever. So from the front, it looks like a One M9 Plus, and from the back, it looks like an E9 with a round camera lens, basically.
Continuing HTC's habit of releasing these phones with very top-tier-ish specs, some even exceeding the One M9 in nations where we will never see them, and they're just making us all very frustrated and confused. And why are you doing this? Why was this not your flagship 4 months ago? I don't know.
So we've heard, yeah, and I've actually heard good things about the One E9 line and stuff that this was based on. In fact, I reviewed the One E9 or E8 back in the day. Sorry, not E9, E8, a while back, and though I had the glossy one, I favored the matte one for general usage, and Nicole Scott has a friend who loves her E8. So the E line is good, but this isn't technically part of it. It's like I don't know what ME is supposed to say. It
has the Quad HD screen, but then it has MediaTek SoC. There's So there's a give and take here, and I'm not sure that it adds up to a phone that people are necessarily clamoring for.
Yeah, and can we talk about this new front plate design? I don't think it's going to get any better when I have the device in hand, that the bottom boom sound speaker grill is interrupted by this very Samsung-looking home button that isn't a home button. Right. So in order to unlock the thing, as Marquez demonstrated in his video, you have to unlock the screen using either double tap or swipe up or the side key, and then move your thumb all the way down to the fingerprint scanner.
It's a lot of rubbing all over.
Yeah. Now, there could be a method of unlocking that I don't know. Maybe a press and hold does, in fact, power on the screen, but I don't think it does. Yeah. So I don't know really what is going on with this. I will have more thoughts on the M Plus and this whole design language.
Really, I think I find the broken up speaker grill on the bottom less objectionable than the off-center one up top, thanks to the prox center and front facer. I hate that so much.
Oh, that has never bothered me. Never bothered me.
No good at all.
HTC says, though, that we should be excited for not just a new phone in the second half of the year, which they always do. They launch phones all year long, but a Halo product, right? This is Anton's story with a quote from Jules Wang, HTC's chairperson and CEO. What's the deal?
This should be very exciting news on face value, with HTC talking about coming out with a new flagship later in the year. For the past several years now, ever since HTC got into the One as its spring flagship, we really haven't had a really notable phone in the fall. I guess we got the One Max a while back, and that sort of fell by the wayside, and the company really hasn't known what to do with itself in the second half of the year. I guess last fall we got accessories, the re-camera, but this time they're talking about having a full-on second flagship, not like Samsung with the Galaxy Note in the fall, but when you listen to why we're getting this news, it starts becoming a bit more troublesome, and HTC seems to be responding to falling stock prices, and I see this look as like a reactionary response, and they really want investors to maintain confidence in the company, and they seem to think that getting another flagship out there will improve its stature somehow. I think as soon as this, I didn't report on this, but I think as soon as this news came out, which itself was in response to sluggish stocks, the stocks just further tanked. Investors do not have confidence in HTC at this point. And even an announcement like, we realize that things are looking a little iffy for us, we're going to try something big this fall, I worry that people are viewing it as too little too late, that if the company is just deciding this now, it's just going to be some thrown together mess. And I have just as many reasons to be worried about this as I do to be optimistic.
That's a very balanced take, Stephen. I think you've put my thoughts into words as well. In anticipation of the One M9 Plus arriving, I've been reusing the One M9 as a daily driver for a couple days after having completed the Galaxy Note 4 after the buzz, which is also up on the site right now. And most devices go like this. We do the review, okay, it's whatever it is, and then a couple months later we do the after the buzz, and typically my reaction on the after the buzz is like, oh, yeah, I mean, this hasn't aged all that well, or, probably wait on this, it's going to be... Coming back to the One M9 after, I don't know, a couple months, actually, I'm going the other way. It feels really, really nice to come back to it, and I think that's in large part a function of the fact that it absolutely just got destroyed in the press. So coming back to it is like my expectations were so low, artificially reduced, despite the fact that I gave it a kind of an okay review.
Yeah.
That when I picked it back up, I was kind of like, oh right, oh this does have really nice elements to it. Oh yeah, it does sort of feel like a piece of jewelry. Oh yeah, this is machined really well, and so on. I haven't shot a lot of pictures with it, but it feels really nice to carry around, and for various reasons. So I'll wait to talk more about that until.
There's reason we could be excited about this. If HTC takes the really good elements, the ones that are still appealing after months and months about the One M9, and fixes those things that didn't work, if they do something about the camera in a big way, maybe this new fall flagship will be worth paying attention to. I just don't I'm not convinced that's where we're going yet. We've been let down too many times. The company's had its failures and tried to restart, and it pulled itself back up and lifted itself up at the bootstraps, but then it didn't really go anywhere from there and was never able to bring itself back to past prominence. I need some convincing, and I don't think that what we've heard so far is enough. But I'm being really pessimistic.
No, well, we'll see. And it is a little discouraging that HTC somehow manages to, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it seems like every time they release a flagship phone, it's immediately followed by a bunch of people leaving the company. I mean, it is. And I mean, not just, incidental people, like designers. The lead designer, I've forgotten his name, I'm terrible, but he was great, who designed the One M8, like left HTC right after the phone debuted, or right before it did, I don't know.
Remember those One M9 design renders that we were all really excited about in the weeks leading up to the launch? What if that's what we get?
Yeah. Right, and they had like
the Nexus 9, that little thin grill for the speaker right on the side of the screen. Oh.
Although, yeah, they looked great in 3D renders, but I just powered on my Nexus 9 for the first time in weeks and weeks. And it's springtime in Boston, and I am not exaggerating when I say that those slit speakers were fully, like 50% full of pollen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're yellow. It looks like a custom Nexus 9 with yellow speaker grills. And I can't, like, I need compressed air to blow them out. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's keep going. Blah, 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 blah. The Nexus 6, speaking of Nexi, is getting some discount action.
All over the place.
Yeah, not only at Google, but also at Best Buy and Amazon.
Yeah,
and I will not lie to you, I want to buy one. I'm very tempted to buy a white one. Yeah, because I have the AT&T one here, which is an AT&T review device, which is great, but it's locked, and I can't do anything fun with it. And I can't even take it on T-Mobile. Like, it's just exploded head. So I want one of my own. I want to get a white one. But how much could I be expected to pay? It's still too expensive for me. What is it, $499? Yeah.
Yeah, they knocked $150 off it. See, if it was down at $399, it would be hugely more appealing. And I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon, considering it took us this long to even see this sort of discount. Maybe when the Nexus, I don't know what we're going to call it, comes around, but yeah, so Google was the first one to get this price discount going. Now other retailers are following suit with the exact same thing. If you were holding off to get a new Nexus phone, I guess this is as good a time as any, but I'm not loving the size, man. I don't know what I'm going to do about that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are reflecting the same thoughts in that it's like, no, this is too big, it's too clunky, it's too whatever, it's still too expensive. But when you think about all the components in there, and also, well, let's be real, the camera's not the best, and the display isn't the best either. It's big and colorful and it's fine, but you can get a much better panel on a Samsung or an LG phone. So I understand the objections, and it is still too expensive. It's too expensive for me to spend my money on right now. But we're prepping the After the Buzz on that, and we have been for weeks. And every time I pick the thing back up, I just like it so much. And it's even after I filter out my inherent, Motorola, like, not really bias, but fake bias, because, like, yeah, Motorola, whatever. It's just a very enjoyable phone to use because of the stock Android experience, married to a phone that feels well constructed, but not so well constructed that you're afraid you're going to beat the hell out of it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, you have a Nexus 5 still.
Yeah, and I found it interesting. Nexus 5 was sort of back in the news this week. I didn't end up reporting on this, but when Google talked about the fingerprint support in Android M at I/O, it apparently has been testing this with Nexus 6. For a while, we thought it was going to arrive with a fingerprint scanner, and we saw the source code and AOSP kept referring to fingerprint scanners and didn't end up actually happening. So we kind of felt that the hardware was there, and they sort of changed their mind at the last minute and didn't do that. But now that Google is going forward with this integrated Android fingerprint support, they are not experimenting with it on some in development or pre-release Nexus 6 where it still had the fingerprint scanner. They hacked up a Nexus 5 to put a fingerprint scanner on that. and it's an ugly on the back one like the HTC One Max, but they're still using that old hardware. It's still kicking. And I don't know what that means about future plans for a Nexus phone, but someone at Google the Nexus 5.
Well, we'll talk about it in the next segment, because the Nexus 5 is still very much a consideration, or should be still very much a consideration for some people. So anyway, if you want a Nexus 6, now is probably the time if you want to get it in the next few weeks. And we don't know if the pricing changes permanent or temporary, so we shall see. Moving on to developments in the news from devices, Sony improves wet screen usability. Which,
if you're getting your phone wet and you want to actually interact with it while it's wet, this is good news.
This is hugely good news.
Yeah.
Every time I review a waterproof phone, I say somewhere in the review that, like, oh yeah, it's great that I can drop it in the water and it'll be fine.
Can't use it.
But then I can't freaking use it until I dry it off. Like, so what's is that ain't the winning formula for a selfie in the shower? Am I right?
There is no winning formula for the selfie in the shower, Michael.
Nobody wins in that circumstance. You are correct. So it looks like Sony is releasing some software enhancements.
Yeah, for the brand new Z3 Plus International Z4.
Right. Which actually, and that's a good point, because even the hardware is largely identical to what we've seen from Sony before. Mm-hmm. So that begs the question whether
a similar release
for released.
Yeah,
for other Xperias, which would be terrific. Because seriously, I mean, you don't have to be making stupid shower selfie jokes to understand the utility of this. If you're at the beach and you are legit, like, pruny and soaking wet from just getting out of the lake or whatever like that, and you want to use your phone, you seriously can't do it if your phone's that wet. Like, the screen will just freak out and it'll start randomly selecting stuff and whatever. So with this newest software, it would be really cool. Hopefully Tony will try it. He reviews all our Sony stuff. What's that?
Talking about making getting its 5.1 updates out in very short order. What are we looking at here? Starting in July, so maybe we'll see similar touchscreen firmware improvements coming out alongside those 5.1 updates. Knock on wood.
Word up. Well, that would be very nice. And we'll just keep holding our breath for new hardware to hit our shores. In the interim, we have other exciting hardware to talk about as Hound emerges as a contender for next great voice service. Tell us about this. Yeah, I thought it was a stupid name until I realized it was from the people behind Sound.
Those guys, I know them. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is this, Stephen? Is this just Google Now and Siri and Cortana all blended together into a better search service, or is there a bigger story here?
You say it like that's not awesome in and of itself, but I mean that's kind of what it is. It's these big companies behind platforms have been releasing their voice-powered search virtual assistant things for years now, and they all have their pluses and minuses. Some are better at understanding what you're saying than others. Some are better at taking what it heard you say and figuring out the question embedded within and using all of their search kung fu to find the answer. And we've seen, plenty of tests comparing these guys head to head. And then there's been these SoundHound guys just kind of chilling in the background. No one even knew they were a player in this. And they obviously are very good at having software that listens to things and figure out what they're hearing. Been using it for years to identify the music you've been hearing in restaurants, cafes, on the street. But now they're turning this into voice recognition, and this new service called Hound has finally been made public. They've been working on this for 9 years, they say. There is a invite-only beta out now for Android, and if you can get access to this thing, my God, the things it can do. It seems sort of like a parlor trick at the moment, the way that it can take a really, really convoluted question with so many disparate parts, and it will listen to everything you say, and then like a blink later it has answers to you can ask it 10 things in one sentence and it will have all those answers for you faster than you know what to do with. It's really good at contextual awareness, things that I think Google Now has been working on and is certainly getting better. You can start understanding pronouns, or we saw at I/O they talked about the ability for it to answer questions about what's going on inside an app. So that's been impressive, but it might just put it all to shame. And it's still not clear how this is going to fit into systems on a whole, because a lot of the benefits to these voice assistants from the companies behind platforms has been the tight integration with the OS overall. something that Hound it has a detriment to going in, but just the sheer the parsing ability of this is unlike anything we've seen. And we have I saw a demo here. We have not gotten a chance to. I have not gotten a chance to try it out. Have you gotten an invite, Michael, or applied for one?
No, I have not. I was just I was checking. I haven't even applied for one, which is stupid. But I just learned about this today. I read your story and I was like, you know, it went like this. That sounds like a stupid name. Oh, it's from SoundHound? That's not a stupid name. This sounds like a stupid concept. Oh, actually, it's not. Like because Tim Schofield or Schofield, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's the video we're linking to right now, QB King 77, and he's done a pretty cool on-screen demo of this, and he got this thing out of the way right up front that I was worried about, where it's like, you know, you can ask it these stupid questions that nobody would ever ask.
Right.
Like this multi-part thing where it's like, how do I get to the ice cream shop? And also, how much will it cost to ride the bus from here to Pittsburgh? And also, can I swim in lava or not? And, you know, this is stupid shit like that. But then he asked it something like, what's the interest rate on a 20-year mortgage if the monthly installment, if I want the monthly installments to be this? And then the phone didn't just give him an answer. It says, you know, it asked him a follow-up question. It's like, what's the value of the house or something like that?
Yeah.
And then it gave him a real answer. And that was really cool. You know, I mean, it was almost like a Wolfram Alpha or like meets Ask Jeeves meets Google Now. It was very, very cool. So the website we have up now is houndify.com. Add voice-enabled conversational interface to anything. So it looks like they're pushing this as like sort of a platform, you know, a plug-in.
And say iOS is coming later. Right now, you need Android to access, but
I really want to try this out. I really, really think this has a lot of potential to be very, very cool. You think that Google would just like buy them
straight up?
Yeah. Or Microsoft. I think it would be interesting if Microsoft bought it and built this into Cortana, but I think that would be very unlikely.
Yeah, I wonder if going public has sort of queered that possibility now, that if any company were to snack them at this point, it'd be some tacit admission that we completely dropped the ball with our hundreds of millions and billions of dollars in R&D budget. We just let these music ID guys one-up us. And the only thing we can do now is just acquire them and hope to enable them with ourselves.
Right, right. I don't know. Whatever comes of it, I encourage anybody who's interested in this at all to go to sign up for a preview access because it looks really cool. I'm going to do it right after this show. We have new big micro SD cards, the biggest ever made, Stephen?
Yeah.
Is that right?
512 gigabytes.
Ooh.
Which is
not from a big maker.
No. I mean, this is the sort of thing that was eventually coming around. Miniaturization always gets smaller, and lots of silicon. All those cells packed in thick chip get cheaper and cheaper to make. And eventually, we got to the sweet spot where it was possible to cram enough solid-state memory into a small enough space to make a 512 gigabyte micro SD card. And this is, I mean, we've had, I guess, a slowdown, sort of an expansion of micro SD capacity in years past. I mean, we had 64, 128, but then we didn't get the 256. Samsung had that 200 gigabyte one. It released, I think that was just earlier this year. And it sort of looked like it would have been plateauing, but no, boom, more than double what anyone else has had. Of course, you're going to pay more than double to get access to that, and the street price for this thing is tipped to be up in the $1,000 range. Well, I guess to be fair, if you're thinking about the premium you pay for onboard storage with a smartphone here, well, you're already paying $1,000 for an iPhone with 128 gigabytes, right? So it's not crazy. Yeah. I see a lot of people in the comments are concerned about speed, and this is a class 3.
It's class 3?
Well, it's got the 3 and the U. Ultra 3, I don't know what that means.
Whoa. That can't be right.
UHS 2, it looks fast. They say 300 megabytes a second read and write speed. That sounds plenty fast. Whether we get that in actual, real-world performance or not remains to be seen. But all these speed concerns don't entirely ring true to me. I mean, how much bandwidth does recording even HD video use? What, like 30, 40 megabytes a second for the super high quality? I guess if you're doing 4K, if you have a phone that can do that, it's a different story. But I don't know. I don't think speed is as big as a concern as people make it out to be. There's a lot of naysaying with external storage in general. You know, it doesn't mesh as well with the OS. You have to make all these decisions where you're going to be choosing to save your file. That's just like it is on any computer where you have to decide what drive you want to save things to. So I reject those objections.
Yeah, so the GS6 is claimed to read its internal memory at 320. That's megabytes, right? Not megabytes. So
yeah,
actually,
actually no, because the internal memory is 8 MMC. No, it's UHS in there, or UFS in the GS6.
Right. I don't know. This is too.
There's going to be a lot of storage.
Be spending this much breath on right now.
If you're worried about speed, save the file to your local storage and then transfer it over to the micro SD later. Save all your every song ever recorded on this. Remember, Brandon kept, or I think more than once, he had an editorial about the idea of having this ridiculous amount of storage on a local card, like every movie. I mean, it couldn't be every. Maybe all the entire music library of a major label, and then you sort of unlock it as you go rather than having to download things. Or
he proposed that in a very early episode of the podcast.
This could be the realization of that. I mean, no one's going to do it because you're not going to pay $1,000 for the storage it comes on. But
no, it's a crazy idea. Yeah, but it's maybe it's just ahead of its time. That's interesting. Well, anyway, go buy one of those if you want to lose $1,000 for no good reason right now.
And of course, you're going to lose the phone once you put it in there.
Yeah, or break the card somehow.
Oh God! Or put two of these in that how's that S company?
That Sega's squared.
Oh Lord, terabyte phone.
Not that anybody needs such a thing.
Yes.
Speaking of miniaturization of components, I had the opportunity to try something really cool this week.
Oh, this looks so neat.
It's so awesome. So it's the Seek thermal imaging camera, which is not new. I mean, this is straight up like old news at this point. It's so old news that most sites covered this back in October, and there's actually a second generation version out now, which we have not yet tried. But it was too cool not to try. They offered to send me one when I asked them, can I borrow one? And they were like, yeah, totally. And it's just this tiny thermal camera. You plug it into your Android phone or your iPhone. Hopefully your Android phone has a USB port facing the right direction. Because if it's backwards, like it is on the Nexus 6 or HTC One ME, you need an adapter.
Doing a lot of selfies.
Yeah, but I used it on the Galaxy S6 and the Moto X 2014, and it is so tiny. Like, it's stupid small. It's smaller than, like, a USB thumb drive. And this is a thermal camera that renders the world in false color based on temperature. Using an IR sensor grid and a 32-degree field of view.
Now, what's the resolution on that? These things are usually pretty low.
It's very low. It's like half a meg
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's let's see. Oh, I will actually tell you. Polar Seltzer thermal. I took a picture of a Polar Seltzer bottle right out of the fridge, and it is. It's a 369 kilobyte image with dimensions 624 by 832.
That's so it's lower than that. That's got to be interpolated. I don't believe that's half a second. Well, I did the math on it. What's 624 times 832? 624 times 832. Well, that'd be the size of the images it's generating. I want to know what the sensor size or resolution is. I'm sure.
Oh, I don't know. It's on their site, but whatever the case, it is awesome. You can take stills or video, and you can choose what color you want to see the world in. You can choose to have it display the average temperature around the center of the frame or the extreme high and lows in a shot, which was fun when I took a picture of a burning candle because, like, the lowest temperature in the shot was like 60 degrees on the desk, and the highest temperature is like 600. It was just crazy.
206 by 156 resolution.
There you go.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing about it for me was there are practical applications, like a lot of people would use it to see where air is escaping from their apartment in the wintertime.
Optimize your
tape up a window.
efficiency.
Yeah. But I loved just the way it made me look at the world in a different way. Like, I would go into my pitch black basement, and you can see it in the video. I just pan the phone over what appears to be a pitch dark area because it is pitch black down there, and all of the equipment in my basement, like the water heater, the furnace, all the piping around it just comes right to life. And it's crazy. It's like looking into another world, even though it's the simplest trick ever. Like, yeah, exactly. And the creepiest one, though, is that if in the middle of the day you can point the thing, stand in front of a window and point the thing at the window, and even though your actual visual reflection is invisible because it's so bright out, your thermal reflection is as clear as day.
Oh,
and it's
weird.
just so wild. And of course, you can take a lot of artsy selfies. I ended up putting a model of the Enterprise in the freezer, and then I took a picture of it, and that was awesome. And took a picture of my roommate's cat, whose eyes are just horribly possessed demon orbs, and a bunch of other stuff. So
this thing, heat through their eyes.
They do. And she recently got surgery, so like the patch of exposed skin that they shaved away is way hotter than her fur, and it's like a big blob. Anyway, very cool stuff. No, you cannot see through walls, so creepers need not apply. No. I mean, unless there's like really hot pipes in the wall, you can't see through them. But you can see how long ago someone sat in a chair, which is pretty wild. And you can't. Also, yeah, you can't do the keypad thing. People are leaving comments like, "Oh my God, people are gonna start buying these things and then taking pictures, thermal pictures of keypads." No, exactly. Like you touch a key for a half a second. There's no meaningful impartment of temperature. If you're on
fire and the keypad is metal, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But then you got bigger problems when someone's stealing your.
This thing is. I do regret my phrasing in the video. Actually, I will say this. I kind of. It's too expensive for me. It's $249. Okay.
Is that the original or the second gen?
That's for the first gen. The second gen is $299, I think.
Okay.
And it has extended range, the second gen. So it's too expensive for me because I would only use it as a novelty thing, and I think most people would too. So that's why I said it in the video. But when you think about the sheer number of components that they've had to miniaturize to put in this tiny thing, and when you consider that competitors like FLIR are these big honking cases with multiple lenses and all that stuff. I think it deserves a little more credit than I gave it for the price. So I will say that.
And with no cryogenic cooling, which is a plus.
Indeed. Yeah. In fact, you can use it to monitor the efficacy of your own cryogenic plant.
Oh yeah.
So there, indeed. Anyway, that's the Seek Thermal. The video's up on the site, and it is good times. Great oldies. I don't know what sound drop we usually use here, but we don't have it, so who cares? This is a segment called "What Phone Should I Get?" Where people write in.
I don't know what phone. That's why I'm asking, what phone should I get?
There you go. Steven, record that. That's going to be our new drop.
Get recorded.
In today's installment, we talk to Nancy Hartman about replacing her well-worn BlackBerry, and we counsel Roy about the best choice for an Android-powered Windows Phone placeholder.
Windows Phone.
So let's do a little Nancy first. Here she is. Here's the actual email. Hi, I would greatly appreciate your counsel. I need to purchase a phone as my BlackBerry.
This is already the most formal email we've ever received.
I know. I love it. It's great. This is why one of the reasons I picked it is because it's like perfectly phrased. Take heed, writers in. I know I need to get a smartphone. I've been unemployed for over 2 years. Need a phone for my job search. Cost is somewhat of a factor, but more importantly, I want to make a good long-term investment. Having used a BlackBerry forever, I like having the QWERTY keyboard, either actual or virtual. I do not play games or stream or need great camera quality. My needs are good phone quality, email, and the ability to search the web easily. I know I would prefer Android over iOS. I am curious about Windows and its long-term viability. I would love it if my calendar and contacts could automatically or easily sync with my laptop, but have no idea whether that's even feasible. Verizon or T-Mobile are probably the best services given where I live. I'm also curious about what you think about service providers such as Ting, Consumer Cellular, Straight Talk, etc. I greatly appreciate any suggestions you may have. Nancy Hartman. Nancy, thank you for writing in.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hit that last bit first because it's just the easiest one, the shortest one to answer. We don't do a lot of coverage of MVNOs and smaller carriers and such, but I have heard good things about Consumer Cellular from a family friend, at least here in the Northeast. And we do have a piece up from Rithvik on, what is it, Text Now is another carrier that let us try them out. And in the wake of my T-Mobile piece, I've had a lot of people recommend I try Republic Wireless. So
Yeah, the
there
problem with
are services that people really like. Go ahead, Stephen.
the problem with some of these is you get locked into or very limited in your device options. If it's a straight
Yes.
up GSM provider, then you have a lot more leeway. But Republic, you have a slim selection of phones to work from. So if you're probably deciding carrier and not phone. It seems like Nancy wants to decide phone and then look at carrier. So if you're okay with that, then if the options they have are ones that work for you, that's fine. But just be aware, you may be slightly limited.
Righto. So that is a solid bet, and that dovetails with my expressions about T-Mobile and Verizon. You basically couldn't pick two different providers, not just in their legal standings and not just in their everything. Everything about these guys is different, but the most important one from this standpoint is device selection. With Verizon, every device you're going to get you have to get it through Verizon, or it has to be built for Verizon. So you're stuck to the handset selection on VerizonWireless.com, basically, or at the retail store. With T-Mobile, you can get stuff from T-Mobile, but you can also get an unlocked smartphone and just bring it to T-Mobile.
Gates open.
Yeah, so for that reason, that makes this question a little harder to answer.
Well,
but go ahead, Stephen. I'm gonna get the portals up and you talk. This
doesn't seem to me like a question that's very much about phone hardware. The things that Nancy's interested in, with that QWERTY notwithstanding, I'll get to that in a moment, I don't get the impression that the phone she chooses is going to have a huge impact here. Things like software, platform choice, she wanted Android, but these features she's talking about, email, searching the web easily, these are software things. If you can just get a reliable, affordable phone, those can be we can look at those separately. That's for the QWERTY thing. Nancy, I was a huge QWERTY fan. The first smartphone I picked up was a old school Motorola Droid. One of the big reasons, specifically because it had that QWERTY keyboard, and I was not sold on the idea of inputting on a touchscreen. I still am not, and I struggle to this day to do any kind of serious text entry. That said, the tide has changed, and QWERTY options are not getting better or more numerous. At some point, I think it's in your best interest to learn to input as comfortably as you can on a virtual keyword. And you mentioned that virtual might be an option for you, but I think learn to do that sooner rather than later, and that would be doing yourself a big favor.
I completely agree, and I sympathize with the physical bit, but yeah, virtual is the way that everyone has gone, and I've actually adapted pretty well to it. But if you organize by price on VerizonWireless.com and T-Mobile and go low to high on Android phones only, because we're shutting out iOS because you said you didn't like it, Nancy. And in terms of Windows, I too am curious how the Windows 10 phones are going to shake out, but we just don't know enough at this point. We're not going to give you a recommendation based on leaks, and there's just so many unknowns. We just can't go there.
You mentioned long-term viability. It's not like the Windows mobile platform is going away anytime soon, but we don't know that's going to be
it is effectively being reinvented, though.
Yeah.
It is like the least. I'm just not comfortable talking about it in terms of, for all we know, Windows 10 is going to drop for phones in the fall, and we're all going to say, wow, this is the worst thing ever, don't get it. You know what I mean? Even though I'm running the technical preview right now, and I don't think I'm going to say that, but it's possible.
Yeah.
You could say this about any platform. I'm not just being a jerk to Microsoft. So
you're looking at prices. What do you see as far as good options there?
Looking at prices.
I was thinking the Moto
sort of
X.
immediately. That's where I'm going. Because you can sort of immediately discount all this low end crap. And that's libelous in a way, because I have not personally tried the Lucid 3 from LG or the Galaxy Core Prime from Samsung, but I won't be anytime soon, and I wouldn't recommend them to anybody who's looking for a good long-term investment, because that's not what they're meant to be. They're meant to be cheap phones for somebody who needs something now. You know what I mean? And then you've got like the Motorola Droid Mini, which is this is still Verizon I'm talking about. Which is okay, great, but I reviewed that thing like 2 years ago in a different name. It's a rebranded Droid, whatever it was called back in the day, and then the Droid Max, and it's just got all this old hardware. So then we come to the Motorola Moto X, and
which
if you're
is
looking
still
at
old hardware, but it's holding up really well.
Yeah, the Motorola X, the second gen.
Mm-hmm.
It's about to be a year old in August.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have a great camera, but camera is not really important to Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Android phone, and all of them can search the web easily. And yes, Nancy, all of them can help you sync your calendar and contacts, no problem.
Yeah, I wonder what
Uh,
ecosystem she's using now, where those exist.
yeah, I wonder that too. Because if you're Microsoft laden, then Windows becomes
That
a
becomes
much
a
more
lot more,
compelling option.
yeah.
Right. So, but even if you're not, and you do prefer Android, Android syncs wonderfully with Microsoft, and Microsoft has just released a lot of very useful apps and tools for Android for its ecosystem. So, hey,
Very
it's
interested
sort of
in
win-win
making
if you
it
go
as
Android.
easy as possible to use its stuff on multiple platforms.
So that leaves the Moto X being just kind of having not very good battery life, but it's more average than bad. So it's not it's not great. But call quality, which
I can see
what
that
am I
on like
being?
some promotional campaign. More average than bad.
You're
There's
right.
lots
It's
of
not
words
the.
out there.
You're right. Well, that is what I'm saying. And the voice quality is very good. All the Motorola handsets, most of the Motorola handsets have really good voice quality. So that's what led me to that. And on Verizon Edge, it's $18.74 per month on a 24-month thing, which ain't too bad if you go that way. On T-Mobile, it's also available, and it is. It was right. It was just here.
Carry the.
Wasn't it just here, or am I lying
Did
about
T-Mobile
all
stop
of that?
selling it?
Did T-Mobile ever sell it?
Maybe
I
you
feel like I'm.
maybe you buy it from Motorola directly.
You
And
do. Oh, there was a
yeah, that
whole
sounds
weird
right.
thing with that too. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, if you can find a Moto X unlocked, you can use that on T-Mobile. That's what I'm doing. I have a pure edition Moto X unlocked. But also on T-Mobile, they are still selling on sale right now a certified pre-owned Google Nexus 5. I'm not too hip on the certified pre-owned thing, but the Nexus 5 is solid, and it's only $10.49 a month for 24 months.
That's nothing.
To $251.76 is the total price on that. So that's another example, and T-Mobile just has so
That's for the
many
16
handsets on
gig?
its website. That is for the, it doesn't say, not surprisingly.
Probably.
I don't know. Probably 16 gig. So that's another way to go. I think the Moto X and Nexus 5 are our sort of lead contenders, and the only thing is, Stephen, we got to be careful because she wants long-term value, right? And
Yeah, and at
these
some
are
point
already
the
old
updates
phones.
are going to dry up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're going to stop working. I mean, and especially if you're doing, web, email, that's going to be completely usable, even if you're a generation behind on your mobile platform version.
Right, and the Moto X and Nexus 5 are also the Nexus 5 is stock Android. The Moto X is as close as you can get to stock Android without being stock. So what that means, Nancy, is that you're most likely going to get updates for those phones.
It's easy to keep doing these updates.
Right, for a much
the
longer period than you
manufacturers,
would possibly say on the Galaxy Core Prime or something like that. I don't think I can say that brand name without using that tone of voice. Yeah, because everything else is, it's more expensive. The LG G4, a great phone, but it's $22.91 a month, and
it's more phone than you
the
need,
software updates.
honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And same deal with the Nexus 6, and certainly with the Galaxy S6. You just, well, you said it, the more phone than you need. So my recommendation is going to be the Nexus 5 or the Galaxy S5, and I'll encourage people.
Galaxy S5.
No, excuse me. The Nexus 5 or the Moto X second gen.
Yes.
Sorry, I have to close these pages because they're just confusing me.
Too many phones.
Too many phones. I was going to say, if you are prone to getting stuck in rainstorms or something, then T-Mobile does sell the Sony Xperia line, which is waterproof. But once again, probably too much phone for you, given what you're looking for. But please check the comments on the broadcast and on the podcast post. Folks, if you have a better idea, please write in.
Yeah.
Nancy, as we would really like to
give her some good advice.
Exactly right. Steven, do you want to read the second one?
Sure. Roy writes in saying, "Hi, Pocketnow team. I'm currently using a Lumia 1020 as my daily driver. I must say I love my Windows Phone, and I love the PureView camera on the phone.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like most Windows Phone users out there, I'm getting a little bit jealous with all these new phones coming out for Android."
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it happens. I really don't want Microsoft to release a flagship phone or an upgrade to my 1020 running Windows 8.1 Denim, specifically when Windows Phone 10, it's Windows 10 Mobile, come on, might be released less than a year from now. Oh, we hear you wrote at the beginning of May, we didn't have that confirmation. I'm sorry, Roy. So just to get over my craving for a new device, I'm thinking about getting myself an Android phone that will eventually become my backup phone when this assumed upgrade to the 1020 finally comes out. Herein lies my dilemma. I want an Android phone with a screen around 5 inches, definitely less than 6 inches. It needs to have a good camera, and I want one that's still getting software updates a year from now. He says he loves the simplicity and size of Nexus 5. Being in Nexus, he knows he's going to get the updates, but he's a little worried about camera quality. The flip side, the Nexus is possibly the Galaxy range, but he's not sure that Samsung is well known enough for updating software, especially further on down the line here. And flagships like the GS6 are a little outside price range. So what would be a good option here? Is the camera on the Nexus 5 as bad as he's heard? Will it still be getting updates a year from now? The phone will be 3 years old by then. It's already well over a year. So what are the good options here?
So
please go.
A suggestion from Ian Raper in the chat says Moto E or G for this guy, maybe. Not the E. I think the E isn't quite good enough. But the G, maybe, Steven?
I don't know. I mean, admittedly, this is a phone that's going to be put on the back burner once he gets his hands on this, next PureView monster. So maybe it does make sense to go with a less expensive phone. But I don't have any first-hand experience with the Moto G. It's a great value, and
it's a solid phone too. I mean, it was the last phone Taylor reviewed before he left, I think. And
how's the camera look on that?
He gave it good marks. Oh, right. Yes, that's right. He said he specifically wanted a good camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go Moto G there.
The Nexus 5, I've been using this as my daily driver since it came out, and the camera's good enough for my purposes. I don't take a crazy amount of photos, but when I do take them, even indoors and low light, they're workable. Use the HDR mode on there to get nice vibrancy to them.
Right.
But it's okay. I'm certainly not shaking my hands in frustration here that I can't take a solid pic with the phone. Then again, if you're used to the 1020, it may be a bit of a slap in the face.
Anything's going to be a downgrade.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's almost anything. So we have to take that into account. Also, the Zenfone 2 might be an option. It is big. Yeah. It's big and clunky.
But it's affordable.
It is cheap, and its performance is terrific, and the camera...
It's brand new, so it should be getting updates for a while.
True, even though it's got a very heavy Zen UI skin on there.
Yeah.
So, and it's already behind. It's already Android 5.0. nothing. So, hey. But the camera, while not excellent, compensates for its not so excellent by throwing so much color in the shots that they look good.
Saturate good times, come on.
Yeah. And it's a good... Now that's going to be in my head for the rest of it. Thank you. I feel like I'm at a mid-90s wedding. It's a better camera than you can get on comparable phones like the Moto G, like the... what is it? Alcatel One Touch Idol 3.
Yeah.
Way too many syllables in that brand name. So there. So that's an option too. But I've been leaning toward Nexus 5 ever since reading this email. Even though it's old, I think Nexus 5 is a solid bet because you're not going to be out that much money. You're going to get a fairly solid all-around experience. And the only other thing that I would recommend, Steven, do you know if anybody, if they finally managed to get the HTC One M8 dual booting ever? Because we know there's an M8 for
Windows.
Yeah, because there's an M8 for Windows and there's an M8 for Android. Did anybody manage to make a dual bootable one?
I feel like if it happened, I would have heard about it, but I'm not discounting the possibility that there's some dark corner of XDA developers forums where there's some mad scientists who have managed to cram multiple OSs onto the same phone there. I doubt it, though.
Yeah. How to dual boot ROMs on the HTC One M8, but that's just Android ROMs, right, through multi-ROM, I'm guessing?
Presumably.
Yeah. So maybe that's not what the thing is.
Man, that would be cool, though.
It would be really cool. Yeah. But I don't know. If somebody knows different, please leave a remark. I don't know. That just leapt into my head. I didn't actually research that alternative. It just hit my head. So I think Nexus 5 is where I'm leaning on this. I would say Moto X again, but if you want an excellent camera, the Moto X doesn't have an excellent camera. And
well, Nexus 5 doesn't have an excellent camera either.
Well, that's true, but I think I would take the Nexus 5's camera over the Moto X.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. I'd have to go back and rewatch my comparison video. And also, we're leaving out Sony, which has really, really good cameras.
Yeah, but how's Sony? Actually, no. Sony's been okay.
They've been okay on software updates?
updates. They've been okay with. They've been good with software updates for those Xperia Z models. I mean, even the. Well, I don't know. Even the original Z is getting them, but at this point, how old is that? 2 years. There's been It's been so quick with getting iterations of that out that it seems older than it is. So if you stick to its flagship offerings, you might be okay. But I wouldn't buy any other Xperia phone and expect to get long-term software support.
There's also the G3. You could enter to win one of our remaining LG G3s, which it's a little big on the screen size and it's a little laggy on the old software there, but the camera's pretty good.
Got a nice camera, yeah.
Yeah, and you're running one of them custom ROMs, and it's getting a little bit cheaper. So, variety of options. I still think the Nexus 5 is the easiest answer, so that's the one I'm sticking with.
Yeah, I like the way this podcast is going. Nexus 5, everything.
Yeah, right? That's weird, because normally I'm just like, oh, Nexus 5, whatever. Thanks for writing in, everyone, for the What Phone Should I Get segment. You should keep writing in if you are concerned about what phone to get. Write us in, and write us a nice email like Nancy did. Nancy's email was perfect. Go back and listen to that. Make an email like that, folks. Just long enough to get the point across, almost as much information as we needed. Perfect. We got other listener mail, and we should jump into it in a segment we like to call listener mail.
Okay.
Bong bong.
Bong bong indeed.
Yeah, this one's from Gary. Why don't I go ahead and read this one
Go
first? I can't find the window it's in. There it is. Boom. Hi, Pocketnow team. Though I thoroughly enjoy my Moto 360 and Sony Smartwatch 3 on a daily basis, I find it frustrating that I cannot send Google Voice texts via Hangouts by Android Wear. Every time I try to send a text by the command send text to Joe Levi, it seems to send the text through my T-Mobile number rather than my GV number. Oddly enough, you can reply to any text and it'll reply via GV, but only if you have it as your default for sending text on your phone. Is there any way to get around this problem? Thanks again, and keep up the awesomeness that is Pocketnow, Gary. Gary, thank you very much.
That is an interesting question.
It is, and Gary, I mainly selected it not because I have a good answer for you, but just to highlight the fact that, once again, Google is just...
Google is not interested in making Google Voice and integration with Android a huge priority. It's always been kind of shoehorned in, and I feel like with Project Phi, it's being slowly replaced, and that it's never going to be as polished as we want it to be as a result.
Yeah, but we worried about Google Voice being replaced by other things before, and it hasn't come.
Yeah, I constantly worry about this.
Right. Yeah, me too, because I use it. I live and breathe on the thing. But when you couple Google Voice's inherent sort of hacked around, functionality with these faux numbers and everything, couple that with Android Wear's still sort of too simplistic interface, it's just a recipe for failure all around. I don't think you're going to have any kind of success with any of this yet. The only hack I could suggest is to make specific separate contacts for people with their Google Voice number.
Does he wants it from his Google Voice number?
Yeah, he wants it to. Yeah, right. But when you text somebody at their fake Google Voice number from your actual number, it appears to them as though it's coming from your Google Voice number, because that's part of the hack. So yeah, if you were to save like Joe Levi, by the way, don't text Joe Levi, he's busy. Like if you send, if you make a address book entry that's Joe Levi Google Voice, say, then you can tell Android Wear, like, okay, Google text Joe Levi Google Voice. Of course,
this presumes that your contacts are using Google Voice themselves.
No, it doesn't, because if they text you at your Google Voice number, they are assigned automatically a fake Google Voice number. That's how it works.
Wait,
they are.
That doesn't sound right.
So yeah, no, it's true. If somebody texts you for the first time at your Google Voice number, it will arrive not from their actual phone number, but from a fake phone number that Google Voice assigns it. And then you save then you save that fake phone number to your address book. That's true, Steve. I mean, I can do it right now if you want. I can demonstrate this functionality.
This is just blowing my mind, folks. You saw this live on the air.
That's how it works, because that's how it works on a phone that's not an Android phone. Like, that's how I get Windows Phone to work with Google Voice. You should just be like, okay, send me a text, and then they send me a text, and it comes in with their fake routing number. I save the routing number as other or pager or whatever in the address book, and then that's the number I use for them, and it works dandy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it's worked for a long time. They used to all be Montana numbers, which was fun. 406, big state, not a lot of people. Anyway, Gary, hopefully that helps somewhat. I know it's someone else probably has a better suggestion, but Google Voice is just borked. But I still love it, so Google, please don't shut it down. Thank you. Do you want to read the one from Sam Bove?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sam writes in, hello, Pocketnow team. I am one of the few Gear Live owners and was thrilled to get the new Android Wear 5.1 update. Of course, when I got the update, I was playing around with everything new and fun, and to my surprise, noticed a Wi-Fi section hiding there in my settings. After some testing, the Gear Live indeed has Wi-Fi, and it works exactly like I've heard it does. And the G Watch R launched without Wi-Fi, just like the Gear Live. So why did G Watch R owners have to wait so long to get Wi-Fi on their watches? Also, do you know if other watches like the Moto 360 or original G Watch have had Wi-Fi so simply enabled as his did with this one update? Well, we've heard from, LG released a statement, and it sounds like Sam has seen this, saying that, yes, the original G Watch R is getting its Wi-Fi support, but it's going to need this firmware update in addition to the Android 5.1 Android Wear update that's coming eventually. Why that's the situation? I don't have a good answer for that. I'm guessing that this was not a high priority for manufacturers to make sure that their devices would work with the Wi-Fi out of the box, or when it arrived as soon as it did. There was no reason to plan ahead and invest time developing this feature that wasn't going to be active for months and months and months. And the fact that it did work with the Gear Live might be more fluke than anything.
Right.
Just it was first-gen hardware, and they designed the update to, maybe they had that in mind when crafting this. It might depend on the particular Wi-Fi chipset in these things. I don't have a very...
I'm sure,
but it's coming.
I'm sure you're right, Stephen. Yeah, it's not as, the way I read it is that it's not as simple as just updating the watch to the latest version of Android, where you have to enable the Wi-Fi module in the Snapdragon 400 or the OMAP 3, whatever the Moto 360 uses, or whatever the chipset you're talking about, and then I think you have to write some specific software to get the watch.
System has to know how to talk to it.
Yeah, so
all that behind-the-scenes stuff.
And I think you're right, Stephen. I think about the priority. I mean, it's like LG was faced with a choice, presumably, like, okay, do we launch 5.1 for the G Watch R now and omit Wi-Fi, or do we wait till the third quarter to release them together? Like, that's not even an option. Like, you want to get your watch out with the latest version. With
LG, I think it's pretty clear that the original G Watch R is very low priority for the company. I mean, we've seen sales recently just dried up. Right now, if you want an Android Wear around LG Watch, your only option is the Watcher Bane. So, back burner, they're getting to it. As for these other ones, what do we know about these guys? Do you have any?
What other ones? I'm sorry.
The Moto 360 and the original G Watch. Have they had their Wi-Fi turn on instantly? I know there was a list when Google released this update. It was very short. Let me see if I can find this.
Yeah, all I know is that the 360 is going to have Wi-Fi if it doesn't already. No, but the update isn't released yet because Moto 360 update has been delayed by quality issues with the new software or something.
Oh, yeah, they were having problems.
Yeah.
Okay. And Dorid is not how you spell Android, which is why I cannot find
So, yeah, I don't know if you're going to do some research on that. I'm prepping for the next one. If you want, we can come back to it and we can read the next one, and if you find something interesting, because this next one is directed at me.
Is this it?
You find it?
No.
Okay. The final piece of listener mail, no problem, is from VJV, who's written to us before. Michael, I have a question specifically for you as a boating man. I like that a lot. I came back from my honeymoon about a month ago. Hey, congratulations. We went on a boat tour of Hawaii, and I got violently seasick. So my two questions are, one, do you have any seasick tips? I've tried it all. Pharmaceuticals, herbal meds, looking at the horizon, fresh air, drinking water, everything. And two, we ended up using our GoPro to take pictures and videos, even though my wife has an Xperia Z3. What phone or smartphone protection technique would you recommend? Thanks as always, VJ. VJ, number one, do you have any seasick tips? No. I seldom do get seasick, but
I did. I asked my girlfriend. She gets seasick. She's a diver, and she gets seasick. It does not work out well for her. And
your girlfriend's a diver?
Yeah, she does all
That's
sorts
awesome.
of things.
If she vomits in her, does she vomit in her mask when she dives?
Of course, that's the way to do it.
Oh no.
Oh, I said mind over matter sometimes works. If you get the idea out of your head you're going to be seasick, then sometimes that helps. And if you are around other people and if they start getting sick, then you're out of luck. So I don't know if that's a viable.
That is exactly right. In 2001, I was part of a crew that raced a sailboat around Long Island. It was a 3-day race, and for the first several hours of the first day, the motion of the ocean was so extreme that one of us lost it, and then everyone else on the boat, save one, puked. Like once the first guy goes, it's like dominoes.
Stand By Me with the pies.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen that. Even though
you haven't seen Stand By Me?
I'm weird, right? No, I got all my Will Wheaton on Star Trek: The Next Generation. I didn't.
Yeah, I got too much on Star Trek.
So the point is that, all right, you sound, VJ, like you're predisposed to getting seasick. If you're gonna get seasick, oh, by the way, you didn't mention that you tried one of those bracelets. There are seasick
bracelets. That's good stuff. I know you tried them, as.
But if you're gonna get seasick, then you're gonna get seasick, and maybe
gimbal stabilized boat.
The problem is, the solution is to get seasick, feel miserable, and puke everything up. And then sleep for 12 hours. This is what I did on the boat. I was not a very valuable crew member for the first day because I threw up like 5 times and then I went to sleep for 12 hours. But once I was done with that, I was not seasick anymore.
Get it out of your system.
Yeah, I mean, you get it exactly. You get it out of your system, and then suddenly you're like, okay, well, now I can survive.
On boats for days at a time here, which may not be an option.
Yeah, that's true, right? If you're just going out for the afternoon, well, you're just going to have to not go out for the afternoon. I'm thinking, but there are probably better suggestions. But when you're using electronics, do I have a recommendation? Yeah, if you used a GoPro, GoPro is great. The HTC Re is also rated for a lot of exposure. And aren't they having like a Father's Day / graduation sale right now?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not great. I think there's $50 off. We've seen it $100 off before, so maybe hold out for another one of those sales.
So watch for one of those. There's going to be another one. They really want to move that Re. So there'll be another one of those sales. Also, if you're talking about a phone, Kyocera just announced a smartphone that is not only waterproof.
Remember their Sapphire phone? Was that them?
Yes, that was them. It is the Torque Go2. So I think the Torque was the one with the Sapphire. Now the Torque Go2 is the world's first smartphone featuring seawater resistance. And this is really important because if you remember my time,
freshwater rated.
Right. Everything else is rated for freshwater, and if you remember during my time with the Galaxy S4 Active, I took it in the ocean and it really hated that because saltwater is much more conductive.
Well, you can get all brackish with this thing.
Oh yeah, so the Kyocera Torque Go2, currently only for Japan, is not only rated to mil standard 810G, but it also is rated for seawater.
Very interesting.
Boom, put that on your list, even though it may never come to the United States. It probably will. It'll probably come to Verizon or something. So there's that, and aside from that, just don't vomit on it while you're getting violently ill.
I have some answers for Sam. I finally pulled up that list of Android Wear models that have Wi-Fi that should be working straight away with the 5.1.
Sorry, so Jules is right. The Brigadier was the Sapphire, the Kyocera Brigadier. Yeah. Everybody go out and buy a motorcycle so you can ruin podcasts. Go ahead, Stephen.
Watch Urbane, of course, ships with the Wi-Fi support. Moto 360 should have it as soon as the update arrives. Sony Smartwatch 3 should get it as soon as it gets the update. And the original Samsung Gear Live, which you knew about already. But yeah, Moto 360 should be working as soon as it gets its update. No special firmware needed.
Good call.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stephen, you want to hit a couple of these Q&As before we get the F out of here?
Yeah, let me pull these up here.
Adam Dowd. If a Pocketnow editor asks a Q&A question and no one upvotes it, was it really asked?
Is that him?
Yeah, that's Dowd.
I didn't recognize his Google Plus icon there.
Good call, Dead Technology. Adam Dowd is going to be on the podcast next week, everybody, so get ready. It's going to be awesome. Stephen, do you have one that you want to answer? We have a lot of upvoted ones, a lot of Q&A. Good job, everybody, on the Q&A.
I have thoughts on this one. Rian Shah asked us about our thoughts on on-screen buttons versus capacitive. As a OnePlus One is terrified of the day something new comes out because he doesn't want to lose screen real estate. I don't mind virtual buttons at all. Well, no, I do sometimes. It's annoying when I'm playing video and they're constantly sliding over from the side every time I click on the UI, but when you tap on the screen, the UI is going to pop up anyway. You're going to get your slider and playback buttons. It goes away a moment later. It's certainly not obstructive in the ongoing use because it slides out of the way, and the software is designed to not be taking up all this extra real estate. The fact that it can move away is great, and I think it's important to talk about the real estate, not just of the screen, but the phone itself. You don't have this area of the bezel constantly tied up by capacitive buttons. Also, I think it has a tendency to date the phone a little bit. And with Android Lollipop, we got these fresh new buttons for home, back, all that. And with capacitive, you're stuck with what you got. So it's a lot more flexible, and I really don't think that it taking up screen real estate ends up being a impediment to use.
I agree. Jules is making some good points. He says that sometimes the bottom row of buttons goes away and stays away, and then you reboot and everything sucks. That's never happened to me, Jules. You need to get another phone. Jules is resistant to using review devices. I don't know what's going on.
What was that old HTC? I think it was HTC. The phone that had capacitive buttons that rotated. Do you remember this?
Oh, that's so cool.
It was over-engineered, and I loved it.
But it's so rad, though. It's like the Samsung Continuum with the secondary display.
Yeah.
Everyone start doing interesting stuff again. I don't know. I've never understood this holy war that people have between friggin' on-screen buttons and the capacitive buttons. Everyone just needs to chill out. It's not that big a difference. Jules says on-screen buttons just don't work. Excuse me. I got to go revise every single review I've ever written of an
Apparently you were wrong.
Yeah, apparently. Although I will say this, so I do understand it. I take that back, because when Windows decided to move from capacitive buttons to on-screen buttons, I wanted to punch a goat. I was so angry, and I still am. I think it's stupid. And while we're talking about stupid decisions in Windows, I still think it's dumb that the search button is not context sensitive and now always dumps you into Cortana. And man, I'm still mad about it. Anyway, who cares? Nobody wants to hear about that. Everyone's asking about other stuff. What if Motorola made a Moto X for Windows? How would you feel about it? Not going to happen, Jolly Jacobs.
Lenovo just said as much. Not in the near, not in the distant, maybe in the super far off future, but no, not happening.
Yeah, so I'm not going to feel anything about it because it's not going to happen. Hypothetically speaking, I'm kind of whatever. Anybody can make a Windows. To be clear, I want every OEM ever to be making Windows 10 phones because I want more choice when that finally becomes a thing. But
if you want a Motorola Windows phone, go with Motorola Solutions industrial hardware.
Yeah.
Windows Phone embedded.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Moto X 2015 might finally make the dimple a functional button, says David Borja. Well, we were saying that last year.
Nearly?
We were saying that last year, and I think there was some prototype hardware we heard that had it as a button.
Yeah, we did.
But in fact, that didn't make it to the final production. I don't want it to be a button.
No.
I've decided. I want it to be the dimple that it is, because it's just a really great anchor point, and it's a great place for the logo, and it doesn't need to be a button, if you ask me. So there. I don't know why I'm so contentious about that. Screw you and your ideas. Thoughts on Thunderbolt 3, USB 3.1, and USB Type-C? Lord Loku17 asks. Steven, I have no thoughts about this. Do you have thoughts?
I don't care about Thunderbolt particularly. I still don't have a USB 3 port on any of my hardware, so I have all these USB 3 devices that are going to waste, so I'm kind of bitter about that. USB Type-C, I sort of like. I guess that my only problem there is the implementation we've seen so far on, the new MacBook that has that. And it just seems to have a dearth of available ports as a result. When you're doing everything through the USB Type-C port there, I get worried about the need to carry around hubs or daisy chain, whatever you're going to end up doing in order to connect multiple things. So I am a guy who loves his USB gadgets. I have probably a dozen plugged into my computer at the moment here. It'll get better, and the reversibility is cool. It's going to be a bumpy road, I think, for the next probably couple years, but as we see more and more devices start implementing this, people will come around, third-party accessory makers will come around, we'll get there, and it will be really cool when we finally do, but for now, regular USB works pretty good.
Yep. XPGBODOMHC1.
Why do you guys pronounce that, Michael?
says, would you rather get the G4 or the S6? Currently have the G3 and hate the brightness in sunlight. Word. Is the G4 any better in brightness? Yes, sort of. And how much bright would you say the S6 is than the G4? Way the shit brighter. But all of those questions are answered in our direct comparisons and reviews. But the short answers that I just gave are accurate. So go check out all that coverage. In fact, we had a whole podcast on G4 versus X6, and I think we talked about that a little bit.
I'm holding up. Oh, I was going to.
Yeah, right.
I don't get those brightness thing. My phone I keep at the one notch above minimum brightness.
Yeah, but like, then you're not. You go places, Steve. You're not like a mobile person.
My battery life is too valuable for me to be cranking brightness up every time.
Me, man. If I'm not using it for review, if I'm just using it to use it, I'll crank that down. I need to see it, man. I'm always outside, like, oh, I'm so late to this, but I just discovered the game Ingress, or rather, my girlfriend did, and include me into it.
Jesus.
Oh, it's so great.
Keep up, man.
I know, I'm so old, but hot. If you like augmented reality at all and you have not heard of Ingress, install Ingress on your Android phone.
I'm actually surprised it's still going on.
Baskets of flowers and thank me later. It's way still going on. I tried to set up a portal the other day and it got attacked into nothingness.
I don't know what that means.
Minutes. Well, play and you'll know. I didn't mean to answer this one, Jonas Kamau. I'm sorry, but are you going to make another Windows 10 video before it's officially released? Probably. I don't want to, but I probably will. I just want the final version now. I want to be done with all this fiddling around. And then finally, we should pick one more, and I can't decide as usual what the ending one is going to be.
I like Edge of Text here. This is
What's that?
He just writes Zenfone 2. Is that a question?
Edge of Text. Zenfone 2. Yes. I think that was a context-sensitive answer to a discussion we may have been having before. Here we go. The MediaTek Helio series of processors seem to be among the most advanced and potentially powerful out there. Do you think it'll be enough to get past the, it's just a MediaTek stigma, asks Christopher Miles.
Maybe. I mean, we're seeing more of these high-profile manufacturers who might not have otherwise turned to MediaTek chips in the past start embracing them for phones that are otherwise, I'm saying otherwise in spite of, but all the other specs there are clearly very high-end. I mean, look to the new HTC One ME. It's got all these high-end screen and other specs, and it has this MediaTek SoC. Right now, though, they're not as broadly available as they need to be, I think, for users to start interacting with them and developing warm feelings, even just not negative feelings about MediaTek chips. I think right now it hasn't been so much that the processors that people have a problem with. It's that the phones built around them have somehow fallen short of our expectations. So we need a manufacturer who will put one of these chips in a flagship level device, make sure that people are exposed to it, and then maybe we'll start thinking, oh, well, this isn't that different from the other SoC options out there. Or maybe it's even better in some ways. It might get there. I think it's an uphill battle to convince an OEM to do that. But MediaTek has been making strides in its more public presentation, and it could happen. I'm not holding my breath, but it could.
Capture the public's imagination. Stephen, I agree with everything you just said. I think to capture the public's imagination, these processors need to be more than just, oh, wow, it's an Intel processor. I should buy this phone, because nobody's going to do that. Nobody's, maybe 10 years ago that would have been a thing, but no. And, people don't even do that with Exynos and Snapdragon now unless they're super nerds. Like, nobody, you go up to a person on the street, they're not going to know what Snapdragon means. These processors are, I think, going to have to differentiate themselves not just based on price, the prices they're offering to manufacturers to integrate their chips into their phones, as we probably saw just now with the ASUS selling the Zenfone 2 way cheap because Intel is probably not charging a lot for their Atom chips in order to get a foothold. But also, we're going to need to see chips that can not just legit do things that other chips can't do, but do things that other chips can't do that developers take advantage of with cool new applications and cool new software features built into skins or OSs, and that's something I don't think we've seen for a long time.
I don't know, but I don't like the idea of that. I'm thinking back to old PC days when we were getting like the MMX instructions, and they were cool. And if you were a developer who coded support for them into your program, it would take advantage of them. But when not every device out there, we're looking at commoditized parts here, and Android is very much like the PC industry was back then.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to convince manufacturers to take advantage of hardware that not everyone has access to.
This is true. I think I was just going the long way around my elbow to say that I want phones to be more exciting because they're in danger of not being so exciting. But you just got to dig a little bit below the surface and you find amazing things. But everyone's like, oh, smartphones are so dumb now. Aren't they all the same? You're stupid. You should go do something else. It's like, no. Nobody's
stupid, by the way. Huh?
It's just a stupid voice in my head. Yeah, you're dumb. Everyone else is dumb. Do you think they'll make a new Nexus 5? Last question, Benjamin McDonald. Second last question, I mean.
It was called the Nexus 6.
Yeah. They might make a new small screen Nexus. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know.
I really hope that LG rumor is true. I don't really care so much about the Huawei phablet-sized
Me either.
But if there's another small one, bring it on.
I get the thing. I think Hayato said it on a previous show. Like, it makes sense for Huawei to make a Nexus device because their hardware is so minimalistic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not for me. It's just, personally speaking, I don't like their aesthetics. So I would like that too. And what? There's no lag risk.
See anything there?
There's something that started please answer, Michael, so of course it did its job and caught my eye. Should I apply a theme on my S6? Should I take the lag risk? Is every theme going to lag? No, we answered it earlier in the show, Cram. If you're joining us late, then we answered it earlier in the show. There are a lot of themes that don't cause the phone to lag now, and I think they're only going to get better. And there's no risk. There's just apply the theme.
Don't like it, then
if it lags, then apply another theme or take the theme. It's going to be okay.
Take-backs.
It's going to be okay, man.
Mm.
Cram FR, good luck to you. I hope you find a theme that suits you. I really like a lot of the themes in the Samsung store. So go for it, man. You experiment, and you let us know how the weekend went after you experimented.
Mm.
And thanks for your question. I'm sorry I was testy about it at the top of it. Okay, that's it. We gotta go. Steven, you want to go?
Yeah, I could go.
All right, let's go. Steven, thank you. This was great. And happy 21st birthday to our new contributing editor, Hayato Huseman. He's 21 today, and he's probably going to go have an adult beverage tonight. I'm sure he didn't break the law. With any new drinks. But more importantly, he's going to be able to get into Showstoppers and Pepcom at trade shows now. So yeah, we were stopped at the door because Hayato was with us. They were like, wait, how old is he? We're like, he's like 30.
How old does he need to be?
No, you can't.
That's how old he is.
Everybody, thanks. This was a lot of fun. And Stephen, thank you for your time.
Of course.
And Jules, thank you for your excellent work, as always. But for now, that is going to do it for this episode of the Pocketnow Weekly, produced by contributing editor Jules Wang, tweeting jokes you'll never understand with
something. We seem to have lost Michael there. Can you still hear us? I can't. Well, I do not have an outro script, but thank you to everyone who participated in the Q&A here, who listened to us live. For those of you tuning in later for the high-quality broadcast, we hope we sounded even better. And we will be back next week and weeks thereafter, continuing on with the smartphone news and opinions and Q&As and all the great things you know to keep returning to Pocketnow Weekly for. We're going to keep broadcasting now because I can't hit the stop broadcast button, but at some point that will stop. I'm just going to keep rambling until then, or maybe I will. I could just slink down in my chair and maybe everyone will go away. No. Do you want to stop broadcasting? I swear to God, folks, if you tune in next week when... Oh, there we go. Oh, my.
What?
Now we're back live?
Screw you, Google, for real. Just screw you right to hell. That was a great show, except for that I've been invisible.
Did we start a new show? It's live again. We were.
I don't know. It's live. Is it live again? Well, yes. Then everyone's going to understand that this is going to be a 2-minute podcast about how Hangout sucks.
He's going to replace the old one, I'm sure.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, the new one's gone.
Am I invisible to you, by the way? Am I the glowing orb?
In the glowing orb for the past hour and a half.
That's what I know. What a piece of shit. Steven, you want to tell everybody what happened?
What
Tell
happened?
me what happened?
Oh, we lost you, and then I sort of gave an outro, and then stopped broadcasting. Sort of.
Aside from the fact that I've been invisible for 2 hours, that was a perfect show. And then right as I start the Hangout, with the perfect amount of music that I'm having to do a lot of effort to pipe in myself manually.
Did you cue that in at the end there? That was nice.
Yeah.
It swelled up right when it needed to.
And Google sniffed that something was going exactly right,
Yeah.
and then it challenged me for authentication, kicked me out of Safari, and I wanted to drop kick every. Listen, thanks for listening. Do you want me to do the outro again? Like, just for fun?
Sure.
Because they're
you can mix it in then for the high quality.
Yeah. Well, the high quality. Actually, I stopped recording the audio track because the high quality one is just basically like Google sucks and thanks for listening. Google's great, but Hangouts really needs to be drop kicked all the time, ever. All right, let's try this freaking thing again. Everybody, thanks for your patience. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Stephen, thanks for your time. Jules, thanks for your production alacrity. And thanks to JBL for the massive speakers that are making this outro possible. Oh, yeah. Yeah! That's the ticket. Stuff. So Jules Wang is tweeting jokes you'll never understand with a wit you can't help but admire. It's true. At Greenpoint Zero. Be sure to find the host on the Twitter sphere. Stephen is asking how green Monument Valley is at Stephen Schenck. I'm offering top quality content at low, low prices at Captain Two Phones. Pocketnow is also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Google+, and it all comes together like hot dogs, beer, and peanuts at the world's geekiest ball game at Pocketnow.com. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week.